Hi there everyone. This is not exactly how I wanted to start my YouTube tutorial series. We're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic and I had all of these grandiose plans of doing some great tutorials on how to do everything with your sewing machine and patterns and all that good stuff and try and share the knowledge that I have with the world. That being said, here we are, and there are medical professionals who do not have the personal protective equipment that they need, and they're trying to ration them, and they're being held back for people who are in close contact with people with COVID-19. That being said, an oncology nurse friend of mine reached out and said, we're about to resort to using bandanas. Is there anything you can do to help? And yeah, there is. I have a stash of fabric. I have a huge stash of fabric. Lots of it, in fact. I guess that's part of the thing when you sew a lot. You see cute fabric and you go, oh my gosh, I need to have that. Oh my gosh. So what I'm doing is I'm raiding my personal stash, not my business stash, but my personal stash, and pulling fabric that I know is going to work well. In this case, it is quilting cotton, 100% cotton. None of the cottons that have like embellishments or anything like that. So you take, and this is all basically what amounts to a remnant. You can use a 14-inch wide remnant of fabric. If you've got 45-inch wide quilting cotton, that's perfect. You take 14 inches from the cut edge, and then that gives you enough to make 4 masks. So like say here I have 4 of these. The other one's down in this my little pile here. This started out life as a 14 inches this way by 8 inches wide this way. So imagine this is the cut edge of the fabric. That's the cut edge of the fabric. I'm just going to cut 14 inches off. So all those remnants you have, all the cabbage you have, if it's 14 inches wide, you can use it. So then what you get out of 14 inches wide by 44 inches is 4 of these and 8 of these. Now the tutorial that I followed it was by So Yeah here on YouTube, and while their ideas were great, I felt like the instructions, the way that they imparted the information, wasn't as fabulous as it could be. And I hate using filler words. I really do. That annoys me when I watch other people do it. And here I am going, This is completely off the cuff. This is not scripted. I love a good script. I have a background in film and video production and acting. I was a musical theater nerd. Hey! And so working with a script, memorizing a script, that's my jam. But here's what happens when you take that 14 inches by 8 inches wide piece of fabric and then you sew it together like I did here to get a 7 by 8 square. I top stitched the top and bottom before I did anything else because I wanted it nice and neat. The key thing here is to press, press, press as you go. So you get this and it becomes that. So what I did, because the tutorial that I followed was like, oh, press here, press there, then press here, then press there. I'm like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. We do one press all at once. This is, ooh, that's warm from sitting on my iron. Here's what we do. I created a template using one of my acid-free backers for my pattern storage that I use for, what do you call them? They're comic book backers. So 1.5, whatever that marking was, whatever that marking was, whatever that marking was, and the 5.5 inches. And then these are where our pleats happen. And I just marked which direction they go. And then I marked that on my fabric. And I will do a close-up of all of this later for you so that you can see what I mean as I go through. So that's that. Then instead of just hand holding them and then trying to iron them down, because well, who does that? Do you want to burn your fingers? That's how you burn your fingers. You pin it. You make your pins go perpendicular to the edge of the fabric, because this is how you keep from burning your fingers and how you keep from melting the little plastic tips on the ends of your thing. And look at that. See, I got a broken nail. I broke my nail a week and a half ago. I haven't been in the nail salon. Why? I can't do it. Social distancing. So then you get this. I only pressed it here on the two sides and then once right up the middle. Then what'll happen with this one, the next process, finished one. Oh, there it is. So what'll happen with this one is I'm going to stitch down here where I'm real close to the edge, about an 1/8 inch. All of these seams are 1/4 inch seams. It's a quilting thing, not a garment construction thing. All quilting is done on a 1/4 inch seam. So that's why the inside, you can kind of tell right here that that's a 1/4 inch turned under. Anyhow, I'm going to stitch this down. Then you're going to take your little strips, which are 2 inches by about 6.5 inches, and you're going to place that on top like that. And then you're going to take your little side pieces and you're going to trim them down a little bit, and you're going to wrap them around and then stitch that down, which will make like a little casing. It'll make a cute little casing. And here's where I differed from the other guy that did his. He did not bother turning those ends under. I like my ends turned under because what happens is that all of the little rough edges and everything are firmly secured up underneath there. And then I stitched it back and forth 3 times. Once, twice, 3 times. Leaving my needle down in my machine. My machine, I can set the needle in the down position and it'll stay there. So I can flip my presser foot up, rotate my fabric, put the presser foot down, and go again. So that's kind of how we're going to get started. I will do a step-by-step showing you exactly what has to be done. I wish that I had decided to film this last night when I was actually working on these at 12:30 at night. But I didn't, because tired and in the zone. You know how you get when you're in the zone. The other thing you're going to need, and I didn't mention this before, like I said, this is a completely off the cuff, not laid out, not planned out. It's just, I need to get this information out there. The other thing you're going to need is your elastic. I cut all the elastic I had, the little baby elastic. It's either, the tutorial that I used called for 1/4 inch. I didn't have 1/4 inch. I had these guys. So, basically what'll happen is you'll put those down on the edge, tuck them underneath when you're doing the little side bits, and then they'll be attached in there. That's another reason why I go over it 3 times, to make sure that those ends of the elastic are secured in place. This is going nowhere. Don't wash these. If you're using quilting cotton that hasn't been washed yet, please don't pre-wash it. Basically what happens when you wash quilting cotton is it removes all the sizing and everything else, and it shrinks the fabric up. What we want to do is leave it unwashed. That's why all of these fabrics have been unwashed. Unless I'm making clothes, I don't wash my quilting cottons. Doll clothes, whatever, I don't wash until the garment is completely constructed. Then I wash it on hot water, because then whatever stretching or shrinkage is going to happens. And the nice thing about when you do these masks, and your nurse friend or your CNA friend or your healthcare professional friend who needs one of these and who doesn't have access to an N95 mask, when these get washed on hot water, all the fabric is going to shrink a little bit. It'll soften up, but it'll hold those stitches in even tighter. That's something that we do with quilting. I don't quilt. I taught a quilting class once. I didn't quilt. You know why I don't quilt? Because quilting is taking big pieces of fabric, cutting them up into itty bitty pieces of fabric, and then sewing them back into big pieces of fabric. It is straight stitches. Lots of straight stitches. I don't have the patience for lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of straight stitches. I love making clothes. I love making costumes. I love doing stuff like that. That's my jam. So, at the end of all of this, we're going to turn a remnant of fabric into one of these. Now, I did run out of elastic, and I did place an order last night in the middle of the night at joann.com for curbside pickup, because no, I'm not going in the store. You can just, I'll roll my window down, you can chuck the bag in the car, and away we go.